Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Gonna read through quite a bit of this article, not quite all of it. It's fairly long. You may prefer to read through it in your own good time. There's a link in the description. And trigger warning: it involves the mistreatment of children. So the headline tells us 11 children in various stages of malnourishment and abuse have been removed from a home loaded with feces, urine, and garbage. And it includes a few descriptions from a few of the firefighters that went into the property and rescued the children and describe the conditions. So we're going to read through most of it. As I say, 11 children living in squalid conditions were rescued from a home on East 6th Avenue in Spokane, Washington, over the weekend, according to fire department reports obtained by this website here, which is lawandcrime.com. The house in the 2100 block of East 6th Avenue between South Crestline and South Lee Streets was littered with food, dog food, garbage, cigarette butts, and animal feces throughout, according to the reports. The entire residence reeked of feces and urine. The fire chief said his own staff struggled due to the shock of the reality of the situation and that the children were living in a tragically unsafe, unsanitary, and clearly inhumane environment. According to city reports, firefighters responded on Sunday to a rubbish fire which threw a column of smoke into the air that was visible from nearby Interstate 90. Flames were visible upon closer inspection in the backyard of the small house. The actual fire was described as a large trash fire in backyard of home and was quickly extinguished by the first alarm companies. Fire crews initially received mixed reports of people inside the home, with up to 3 to 4 unaccounted for. 3 to 4 people unaccounted for. They also feared a possible victim was in the basement of the home, but that person had self-extricated from the basement. They had gotten out of the basement, and everyone else made it out of the home safely, firefighters eventually learned. So they had no idea how many people were in the house. They thought there were 3 to 4 people that were unaccounted for and needed to be rescued. And they also were fearful that somebody was in the basement, but it turned out that whomever was in the basement had already exited the property. So back to the article. After removing the burning debris from the side of the house, firefighters determined that no fire had made it inside the structure. So the fire was outside of the house. The incident commander informed other firefighters that a lot of children were taken out of the house and was staying warm in waiting vehicles while firefighters worked at the scene. One of the firefighters gave a description of the conditions, and I'll read through part of that. Upon entering the structure, I immediately noticed living conditions that were unsafe, unhealthy, and untenable for the children living there. The living room had food, dog food, garbage, cigarette butts, and animal feces throughout. There was a strong smell of feces and urine in this room and throughout the entire residence. I next entered the kitchen, which had piles of dirty dishes, a gallon of milk that had been left out, piles of garbage, old food, and multiple items stored on the stovetop, which is a high-risk fire hazard. Again, the floor was covered in garbage and animal feces, and there was even feces spread on the wall in the kitchen. Oh, that's pretty nasty. There was even feces spread on the wall in the kitchen. I next entered the storage room. It was filled with piled dirty clothing, garbage, and old food. Another of the officers talked about the garden, the backyard, and that was littered with garbage bags, broken glass, pieces of scrap metal, sharp edges, so various hazards throughout the property. Another firefighter noted that the scenario involved an excessive hoarder situation with garbage piled not only in the backyard but also in the house. Okay, now there was also one of the firefighters noticed that the fire and who tried to warn people inside the house That person ran up to the house and pounded on the door, finding approximately 8 children in the home by themselves, running in ages from 6 months to 12 years of age. Here's a description from a paramedic that was on the scene. The children were dirty. What clothing they had was in poor condition and dirty also. The children appeared malnourished. Several of the children were barely clothed. The conditions in the basement were even worse than the conditions on the upper floor. I only saw the backyard and the first floor. Okay, so look, that's the situation. There's the house. The police have said that they've taken the children away. Actually, let me correct that. I'm not 100% sure if the police have taken the children away or not. They have been temporarily, at least. But as far as I understand, law enforcement are currently, dealing with the CPS. So it's an ongoing situation. No arrests have been made. The children are the focus, but as far as I understand, no actual action has been taken as yet. I mean, I would say there's a fair chance that some action from CPS will take place. But as far as I understand, none has at this stage. So I'm going to wrap things up there. Again, there is a link in the article if you want to go through that more thoroughly yourself. Hopefully that's been informative for you, and hopefully you have a nice rest of your day.